Hey guys, Indy here with Ultimate 2 Reviews. Now, I know I've mentioned in a couple previous videos about the Metabo HPT, the triple hammer impact. Now, I had the 18 volt impact for, quite a while earlier in the year. I really wasn't overall impressed with it. I felt the power was just kind of okay for, what it was. And I thought it was just an okay impact driver. Now, there's been a ton of videos. I know Torque Test Channel did one. There's been a few other reviews as well, too, about the triple hammer impact. I definitely recommend you check out Torque Test Channel's video, where he actually cuts open that the anvil here, and he shows you an interesting issue with that triple hammer impact, where when it's under an extreme load, or really basically full load, that triple hammer actually starts skipping on that anvil, and it doesn't actually impact every single time. It'll actually end up skipping over the hammer and not impact every single time. It's kind of a weird thing. I definitely kind of noticed, that earlier in the year too when I was trying out the impact. But what I wanted to do, what I mentioned was that I said, you know what, let me try the 36 volt. Now, if you look at the specs between the 36 volt and the 18 volt triple hammers, they are very, very similar. There's like about a 50 inch-pound difference in power between the 18 volt and the 36 volt. Now that's pretty minimum. Pretty much you're not going to notice that much power difference. But I will say, I like the 36 volt a lot more than the 18 volt. And there's one big reason for that, and that's probably that I didn't have a multi-volt battery for the 18 volt impact. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, it's not a multi-volt, tool. It's not going to necessarily take advantage of that. But as we've learned from, a lot of people doing the tests on larger batteries, they do give a better performance for the tool. So yes, that's definitely very true. So when you add in the multi-volt triple hammer impact, you add in a nice, much bigger battery, you're definitely going to see a lot more performance with that one tool. So guys, I want to do a few comparisons here between, this Makita. I wasn't really sure what Makita impact driver I wanted to put up against the Metabo. There's a lot of, options I've got here. I didn't want to pick one that was going to be, way over what the price point of the Metabo would be. This Metabo is not even the current triple hammer impact. There is a new version out, although I don't want to pick it up just yet. It is really pricey at $300 for a charger and a battery, which is the same battery right here. I think it's a bit overpriced for right now for what it is. I'm waiting to find a deal on that. Once I get a deal on that, I'll definitely get in and get it reviewed. So for the Makita that I picked to go up against the, this triple hammer impact, I chose the Makita XDT14. And you can find both of these impact drivers for around the same price. I would say the Metabo you're going to be able to find maybe a bit cheaper, a little bit easier. Now I got this Metabo for 50 bucks on eBay. It came just like this. The cool thing was that it came actually pretty dirty. And what's cool about it is it's IP56 rated. So I got it in from eBay, it came in one day out of the box. I threw it in my kitchen sink, covered it in soap, and just washed it off. Of course, I didn't have a battery on that, but wash it off, no big deal, and here it is. I really love that feature of Metabo, being able to just have basically, I wouldn't say, it's fully waterproof, but it's pretty much there, being IP56 rated, and it's a really cool tool. Now, I did a whole fence install with the 18 volt Metabo, and it was okay. I definitely noticed that it was not as powerful as, even my base model Makitas. When you're putting in, a couple of screws every couple of minutes, it gets annoying to have a tool that's not keeping with other tools. That's what I found with the 18 volt Metabo very quickly. When I was with my helper putting in more screws, he was using Makita, he'd be done and I'm still putting in screws for another couple seconds. It got really annoying really fast. But I will say, trying out the 36 volt Metabo, it definitely makes a difference. And don't let the, the slight power increase kind of fool you there. It's definitely adding a larger battery, because 18 volt Metabo has just an 18 volt battery, a 3 amp hour battery, whereas the smallest multi-volt battery is going to be a 2.5, but it's multi-volt, so it's going to be a 5 amp hour at 18 volt. So it's definitely going to give you an advantage there. Now, what I'm going to do actually for this test here is I'm actually not going to use this battery. I'm going to grab one of the larger batteries, one of the 4 amp hour multi-volt batteries. I want to give this thing the absolute best case scenario here to do the best possible job. So let's do that. Let's start doing some screws, guys. All right, so I got a fully charged, this is one of the big 8 amp hours at 18 volt batteries from Metabo. I got a bunch of these from that free rebate. Really happy with Metabo and that free rebate deal. That was actually absolutely fantastic. So let's throw some screws in, guys, and see how this thing does. All right, I got just some regular drywall screws here, guys. I'm not gonna actually time these. I'm just gonna use these as more of a demonstration here. Pretty much any impact hour should be able to put these in relatively quickly. One thing you're definitely going to notice about these triple hammer impacts, from what you just heard there, was just the extra bit of impacts that you're going to hear from a regular 2 hammer impact. So let me show that. Let me show that with the Makita here. And here we go with the Makita. Oh, I'm already stripping that screw out. Let's grab another screw. All right, let's go for it with that Makita. So don't know if you heard that on that video, but you can definitely hear the less impacts happening with the Makita versus that Metabo. It's quite noticeable very easily, but that's just how the triple hammer impacts work, is that it's going to be impacting more, but with less power. I like to think about it as like a gearing ratio, whereas this is going to be in a lower gear, so it's going to be moving slower, but getting you higher torque with the impacts, whereas the Metabo is going to be, say, in a higher gear, giving you faster impacts, but at a lower torque ratio. So those of course going to be pros and cons to how that works out, but it's something that is going to be quite interesting, and depending on what you're doing with it, it's going to be quite advantageous at certain times. So let's try some larger screws now. All right, got a larger drywall screw here. Let's give this thing a shot. And I'm actually kind of curious to see how this compares to the Makita, so I'm going to time this one. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Let's try that with the Makita. And with the Makita, 1, 2, 3. Nice. You know, guys, it's cool when you think about the Metabo. It's not just an advantage going to the 36 volt version, but also having that larger battery. Been proved by a lot of channels that, you know, that larger amp hour battery allows a greater amount of power to be drawn from the battery into the tool, giving you better performance. So really cool to see that. So let's grab something a little bit bigger. Let's grab a lag bolt. I'm really curious to see how that goes. I wish the Metabos had the quick insert collets, but unfortunately they don't. Not a big deal though, but let's see here with a larger lag bolt. I'm going to use the exact same setup on the Makita as well too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just get this thing started, and then I'm going to start the clock. All right, there we go. Just getting started now. And let's see how far we can get in with this lag bolt. 3, 2, 1. Nice. And decently far there, not bad. Let's see how the Makita does on that test as well. All right, let's get it in just enough. There we go. And let's see how it does compared to that Metabo. About the same distance the Metabo got it in, right around the same speed there. But, I will say I don't know the times right now. Get this out quick. Alright guys, so I don't know the times just yet till I edit the video, but they seem super similar between these two impact drivers. Now, of course, Metabo is not, winning any, crowns for the fastest impact driver out there, but I will say, if you're going to buy a Metabo triple hammer, definitely go with the 36 volt. That's what I learned from this whole, thing between the 18 volt, the 36 volt. We've been watching some of like the tools and stuff videos where he compares them both. He says it's kind of the same thing I'm saying where, they're super similar, but 36 volt definitely is going to have that advantage. And with this 8 ampere battery, I know it is quite bulky, but they're pretty much just giving them away most of the time when they have those free battery rebates. And this thing will last you, it could last you days, weeks even, with the amount of battery life you're going to get from this thing. So really cool to see that. I am definitely much more impressed. I'm definitely going to use this much more often now, the 36 volt versus the 18 volt. It's just one of those things where, the 18 volt could not keep up with some of my more basic Makita impacts, whereas the 36 volt definitely is an improvement. There's a few little things that I still am not a huge fan of when it comes to Metabo. I'm not a fan of this, side, selection here of some of the modes. S and P, I gotta look that up in the manual to know what that means. I know P is something with like power, S is something, I'm not sure what they are. Whereas, a lot of the Makita, Milwaukee, DeWalt stuff, it's super clear to understand. It's, slow, high, it's easy to understand exactly what that stuff means. But, Metabo is still doing some really, really cool stuff. It's definitely one of the brands I want to keep a lookout for as we go into the holiday season, go into the next year. They're slowly releasing power tools. One thing that I did want to mention that'd be really cool, that they're giving away so many of these, 8 amp hour batteries. I wish they would release that chainsaw here in the US. I'm at now at least 6 of these multi-volt batteries that I've gotten for really, really cheap. That'd be awesome to have a chainsaw, be able to use these with and really put these to their full potential. Metabo is kind of one of those brands to watch. I know this kind of sounds bad, but don't buy the tools at, retail price. They're always having some deal happening here and there, and it's not always going to be at Lowe's. Definitely check out, Acme Tools, Tool Nut, Tool Barn. Those guys, on their Instagrams, they kind of show off, a random tool deal once in a while here, guys. And some of them are just fantastic. Whereas you're going to find some of the clearances on Metabo at Lowe's, and you're going to find just incredible deals. I know I did a recent, clearance deal on the 1/2 inch impact and the 6.5 inch circular saw. Both those deals I got on clearance, as well as some of the other tools I've got from like Amazon as well that were just really cheap. But I will say, it kind of summarized just everything here. When it comes to Metabo, it's definitely going to be something very similar to like Milwaukee, where a lot of guys are like, if you're going to buy Milwaukee, buy fuel or buy nothing. When it comes to Metabo, I'm kind of going to say, buy the multi-volt stuff or buy nothing. It's kind of, very similar to that Milwaukee mentality where that multi-volt stuff is just in a league of its own. This is definitely a far better tool, even though you can find it relatively similarly priced, the 18 volt triple hammer impact. It's definitely going to feel a lot more powerful. I wouldn't say not a lot more powerful, but definitely going to hold its own against some of the competitors like Makita, DeWalt, Milwaukee. And this is compare it to when you pair it with a multi-volt battery, such as these basically the free rebate ones that I got for the 4 amp hour at 36 volt, just impressive batteries now. They're going to give you this thing a lot of power. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this kind of showed you some cool stuff about Metabo HPT, or as you know it in the rest of the world as Hikoki. I don't want to get started on that. I know I'm a big fan of the Hikoki name, not so much the Metabo HPT. But guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Take care, guys. Have a good rest of your week, and thanks for watching.